Hi, everybody. So Thursday is Thanksgiving. I certainly want to begin by offering you a happy holiday, that everything works out for you on Thanksgiving. If you'd like to join us on Thursday, we'll be here. Well, we'll be online on Zoom at 11 o'clock, and we'll be expressing gratitude. And of course, the Sunday before Thanksgiving is the time where just about every year and in every center and church that I know of, the conversation is about gratitude. And I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about karma. Now, I've been warned about having conversations from the stage about Hindu concepts. You'd be surprised how much influence Hinduism had on Ernest Holmes. We don't talk about it. He writes in terms of a Christian point of view, but he was deeply influenced by Hinduism. And I've actually been counseled by some people here that I shouldn't bring up these Hindu concepts, that I should use different words. For example, the chakras of the body. I talk about them all the time. That's what the bowls are about. It's what these colored vases are about. And I've been told to call them energy centers. Okay, but if somebody can't hear me if I say chakra, I think that's their issue more than mine. And the same is true here. I mean, if you look in the textbook, the Science of Mind textbook, Holmes refers to karma a number of times. But he also says that karma is something that we absolutely believe. We just don't normally use that term. If I had to pick a name for what karma is in our teaching, it would be the law of cause and effect. Same thing. In fact, Holmes says that directly in the textbook. So why do I want to talk about karma? Well, I want to talk about it because it's really been around a long time. And there's some elements to it that maybe we don't pick up from the perspective of the law of cause and effect. So I just want to take a peek at that. So I want to start with some quotes that come from the Upanishads, which are the oldest Hindu teachings, some 2,800 years ago. In fact, this first one is from the book that was written in the 8th century BCE. It says, "As a man himself sows, so he himself reaps. No man inherits the good or evil of another man. The fruit is of the same quality as the action." 2,800 years ago, people were figuring that out, that there's something about what you do that affects what you experience. Pretty cool. About 100 years later, this one was written again. It exists in the Upanishads, which are written in Sanskrit. And of course, this is English, because what good would Sanskrit do up there for you? A person consists of desires, and as is his desire, so is his will, and as is his will, so is his deed, and whatever deeds he does, that he will reap. Same concept. Good to understand. And what they're doing is saying, well, how does it get from a thought, a desire, into action? And this is their argument for that is that we are driven by our thoughts, by our desires, and the things that we do as a result of that are the things that have impact. Well, I believe that thoughts themselves are actions. So when we have the word action or deed, to me it's the same thing as a thought, because a thought is a thing. And it's a beginning point. It's the first thing we create is a thought. We create a thought about, ooh, I'd really like to have that, or I really don't want that. Whatever it is, whichever way we want to play it, it's real. It's a thing. So it doesn't have to get to the point where you're actually physically taking action for it to have a karmic impact. It's before that. And we won't leave the Christians out of this one. There's actually a very famous Christian quote out of Galatians that says, "Whatever one sows, that will he also reap." Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Now we hear this and we know this. I doubt there's anybody that hasn't heard this before. And certainly if you come to this place, you've heard of the law of cause and effect, knowing that we are at cause and that our lives, the things that happen to us that we experience, are all at the point of effect, so that we're causing it to happen. But boy, do we quickly forget that and start thinking somehow it's coming from out there. But the truth is, and it's been known by the ancients for all this time, that that's not what's going on. that something grander is going on. So this idea of karma, what is it? How does it work? Is it something imposed on us? Well, Deepak, our beloved Deepak, gives us ideas around that. He says karma, when properly understood, is simply the mechanics through which consciousness manifests. So that you have consciousness, you have the package of beliefs and desires that are yours exclusively. And what he's saying there is that this is a mechanical process that takes those things and makes them happen in your life. Now, of course, they have to be constructed in a way that's useful. Just wanting something doesn't mean you're going to get it. It means you're going to want it. So there's the possibility is greater if you're not doing it consciously that you're not going to get the thing that you desire. If you're stuck in the desire phase of that, you have to actually move beyond that and see it and know it and have the thought that it's real, and then it moves into physical form. But still, it's a mechanical process. Oh, I want to talk about, you can read it, I don't care if you read it, but I'm going to tell you what I want to say about this, is that karma, which we joke about, we say, my karma ran over your dogma, or we sing John Lennon's song, instant karma's going to get you. Those are jokes, those are silly, those aren't real. The real thing about karma is that it's a balancing act. It's all about balance. It is about justice, but not about revenge. So if you think you want revenge on somebody, the thing to do is not go seek revenge because that's karmic. That's going to get you what you don't want. If you're smart, though, knowing how karma works, you just stand by and watch. And chances are, if you're fortunate enough, you're going to get to see the karmic reality that is imposed upon someone that you wanted to get. But if you go after them, if you make them the problem, if you carry on and judge and blame and all of that, now it's on you. So who wants to do that? So my invitation to you is to let go of it. And here's the perfect proverb for it. Before you begin your journey of revenge, dig 2 graves. Because you might as well get ready to know that your karmic response is going to create something that you don't want in your life. So none of us have the ability to impose karma on anyone but ourselves. That's how it works. So any time that we have things going on that are challenging and difficult and struggling and angry and confused or any of those kinds of things, what we're doing is we're imposing this karmic thing on us. We're imposing the law of cause and effect on us. We do it with everything that we think. Now, the Hindus play it a little different there in that they really say it's physical action that causes karma. I'm really thinking it's really about thought more than anything. I mean, many of the things we think we follow up by saying things and doing things. But boy, I believe it starts right there at thought. So when we have thoughts against something or someone, what we're doing to ourselves is setting ourselves up for failure. And that doesn't help any of us. So the place to go is in a different direction. And what I want to talk to you, if you probably noticed there that my idea is that we're going to talk about the mastering of this thing called karma, and that's where I want to go. Karma is justice. It is balance. But we can't control it. All we can control is our thinking, our words, and our actions. Those we have absolute control over. If we don't, then we're not very self-disciplined, and we're going to continue having challenges with it. And as you know, this idea of exchanging energy with the universe, it creates stuff in our lives. Now, is that always the case? No, we have the ability to shift things. But you have to know how to do it. And that's where we're going to go with this. So, that's our proverb. I want to tell you a little story about this Yogi Gorakhnath, is the way I'm pronouncing it anyway, which I thought was helpful in understanding how we're not really stuck with it. So the story is an ancient story, and this is an ancient personality that comes from the Hindu folklore. And the story is that 2 men who were neighbors, who knew each other, had a very interesting day. One of them was a good-hearted man who worked to be generous and open and to live a healthy, meaningful life. Was working on his farm one day and came up against some thistles and cut his arm pretty badly to where he had to stop and go have it mended and taken care of. And it was a deep cut. And at the same time, on the same day, his neighbor, who was a bit of a jerk, who was not an honest man, who was into screwing people in business deals. He wasn't faithful to his wife. He wasn't doing anything that you would call living a noble life. He found 2 gold coins. So these two were having a conversation about their day, and they decide they want to go see Yogi Garathnath. And they want to get some explanation as to why this was happening. Why someone who is clearly living a life to be good gets injured, and someone who is really just to goodness to the wind is finding money. How do you explain this? So they took it to the yogi, and the yogi listened to their stories and said that he would meditate on it and that they should stay where they were and he would be back. So they did, and the yogi went away and did his meditation. And sometime later he came back. And he said, here's what I know. He said, you who are doing your best to live that good life, in your past life, you killed a man with rage and upset. And the karma from that should be that you should experience the same. But you're living a life where you're seeking to do what is best for you and the people around you. So your karma has been reduced to the cuts on your arms. And to the man who was living a less than noble life, why did he find these coins? Well, apparently in his previous life, he had been an incredibly generous, loving man. But somehow between lives lost his way. And that what he should have had was a bounty of money that would carry him through his entire life because of all the generosity that he had given in the past. But he dwindled that down in his karma to 2 coins. The yogi continued to explain to both of them how their lives had unfolded and shared things with them that no one else would have known. So this rang true to both of them. And both men left the home of the yogi Garathnath with a new heart and a new intention to live a meaningful, loving, positive life. Well, that's a sweet story. I don't know if it's true, and it certainly brings up the whole idea of reincarnation, which I'm not prepared to address this morning. But I like the idea that we're not like bound to some fate because we did something in the past. That at any moment we can change it. And that's one of the elements in Hindu understanding as well, is that this is all based on intention. You know, there are many Buddhists and Hindus that think that we have to hold life as sacred no matter what, but I guarantee you all of those people walking on a path or on a street where they live have killed insects by stepping on them and squishing them because there's insects all over the ground. How could you not? But without intention of causing harm, it's no big deal. But if you do one of those, that's different in their thinking. Okay, so that makes sense. I can go with that. So there's this intention idea around it. It's like, and often I have said to people, most of you know that I don't say I'm sorry, because I think that's a terribly inadequate and counterproductive phrase. But what I will say, if it's true, is that if someone is upset with me for something that I said or did, I would say, well, it was not my intention in any way to harm you or to cause you any pain. And then to tell them what I'm learning from what's happening. And I found that to be a much more effective way of addressing the idea of missteps in my life than most people have. So thank you, Yogi, for your story. Here's what I'm bringing you today. I'm going to bring you 6 quick ideas on mastering karma. And I believe that these are the things that we all need to know to be able to use the law of cause and effect effectively. The first one says, accept and know that you are the creative initiator of your life. Basic thing that we teach here. Know that you're in charge, that nobody is doing anything to you that you haven't in consciousness set up. Whether you're aware of it or not, it's there. It's there. And good words to explain this come from this man, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. That's the one the Beatles went and hung out with in India several decades ago. He says problems or successes are the result of our own actions. Karma, the philosophy of action, states that no one else is the giver of peace or happiness. One's own karma, one's own actions are responsible for bringing happiness, success, or whatever. I love the idea that the Maharishi says, whatever. So now I want to give you my quintessential explanation on why this is important and how karma works. You ready? Yeah, I got some people covering their eyes. So, here's what I want to say about this man. I'm not here to judge him or to defend him in any way. But here's what I have observed. Before Donald Trump was president of the United States, he was a well-known figure. He was a real estate developer. But he was really known for one thing. It was a television show. It was a television show called The Apprentice. And on that television show, what was his famous line? You're fired. So this is the situation that he created. He produced that show. He made that show happen. He did it the way he wanted. He would invite people to come in and compete to be an apprentice in his organization. And every week, someone would get knocked out. Someone who really wanted to win. Somebody who put a lot of energy and time into being there. And he would take great pleasure in saying, you're fired. He did it over and over and over again. And although we really don't think about it, think in your life at a place where maybe you were fired from a job. Maybe you were told you weren't good enough. Maybe somehow, even though you had this aspiration, you were told and what was said to you is that you weren't good enough. Now, I got to figure all those people leaving that show, and practically every other game show there is, has a sense of loss, has a sense of defeat in that moment. And we would watch, people would watch the show to watch people crash and burn. That's a lot of karma. So what happens? The man runs for president of the United States. He didn't lose his election. He was elected because he wouldn't have had, you got to have the job before you're fired. But 4 years later, it seems that the United States population, the people who vote, said you're fired. Wow. That's how karma works. And that's a great example. I could not resist that. Number 2, learn from every experience and every circumstance. Learn from every experience in your life. Don't let something go by and go, oh, let's get rid of that. That doesn't work. Why? Or the same outcome will manifest repeatedly in your life. The one I hear most about is relationships. It's as though this third relationship the significant relationship I'm in my life, it's like this person is being in touch with the other two. Because even though that wasn't how we started, that's how they're acting now. Well, what's the common thread here, folks? Yeah. If you don't learn the lesson, you're going to have to learn it again. You're going to have an opportunity to learn it again. Not with the same person, maybe, but you're going to have to learn it again. Something else is going to happen because this is calling to you. And at a high consciousness level within you, you're making this happen. Your choices are doing this. This is not being done to you. It's you. That's an important thing to know. Learn. Stop. What am I learning from this? What can I know from this that helps me live my life better? That's really important. The third one, to change your life, you must first change your thoughts. Boy, isn't that the truth. It's amazing how many people over the years have come to me and Barbara saying, treat for us, pray for us that this thing goes away. Oh, but I don't want to change. I want to keep my thoughts just the way they are. I want to live my life just the way I'm living it because why would I be bothered? You know, you're the master treatment professional. You're the practitioner. You make it go away so I can just continue going on without it. It doesn't work that way. That was the tagline for the Science of Mind magazine for decades. Change your thinking, change your life. That's the only way you change your life is by changing your thinking. Or the same damn thing is going to happen again and again and again and again. And you're going to think that the whole world is out to screw you. But it's you. That's number 3. Number 4, embrace the interconnectedness of all life. Boy, isn't that the truth. It's all interconnected, which means that when you have a thought, it's connected to all of life. And that thought is going to reflect back to you with something. So it's not helping you. If you forget that, if you think somehow you're an island and that you're separate from everything else, or that other things can't affect you, they can affect you. Only because of what you're thinking. Don't think you're separate. You're not. None of us are separate. There's only one thing going on, and it's us. When an inner situation is not made conscious, it appears on the outside as fate. Isn't that clever? Talk about a genius. Carl Jung understood that consciousness and fate are the same thing. They all work as one. Okay. Number 5, stay focused on living the life you want without judgment. No big deal if you judge, right? No big deal if you find fault in others. It's not having any impact. I'm calling you on it. Not going to help you. Not going to help you. Don't give your power away to anyone or anything. And being angry at anyone in the world doesn't hurt them. It only hurts you. So let it go. Number 6, be patient and pay attention. Pay attention to what's happening. The only time we get hurt is when we're not paying attention. And I'm talking emotionally or physically. It happens when we forget to pay attention. And be patient, because life is working out. It really is. So with these ideas, I have one other thought for you, and we're going to close. I want to go back to this idea that we learned from the yogi. As the blazing fire reduces wood to ashes, similarly, the fire of self-knowledge reduces all karma to ashes. So when something happens and you don't understand it, you don't see how that could possibly be from your consciousness, be with it, sit with it, be patient, look at it. What can you know about yourself that makes you a better person? Because you created it, and you're the one that can learn from it. Nobody else can. So that's the work, and that's what I call Mastering Karma is about. I hope this was helpful. Thank you for your kind attention. I love you very much.